Happy Sunday, everybody. Well, as good as it can get anyway. I'm out here working in the old El Camino, and down to the come to the realization that I have no choice but to completely gut it. The more I got into it and started looking around, that's where my heater core was. Look at all, you can see all the rust all across the front here. This is actually the lower passenger side cowl panel that's rusted. The door pillar is still nice and solid. The brace here, still nice and solid. I've got a couple of things I wanted to show you in case anybody out there is interested in pulling out the dash on a 68 or 69 El Camino. I think in 1970 they changed to more of a foam dash, or it had more metal to it anyway, or less metal. I think on a 70 and later, the foam actually went all the way down and met just about where the windshield is. However, 68 and 69 had just the vinyl across the front, and then the dash was all metal. And they are not interchangeable. I went and looked at a 72 yesterday, or 71 yesterday, and the dashes are not interchangeable. That's when I realized the difference in the metal. I hadn't seen any El Caminos up close in quite a few years, so I couldn't remember. But anyhow, I realized that I was going to have to completely gut the interior, gut the dash out. The dash is actually part of the superstructure, or the whatever you want to call it. I had to cut a weld right here on the outside of the metal dash, and then did the same thing over there on the driver's side. Right there, had to cut that weld, because when they sit the dash in, it's all one assembly, and it has the wrap across the front, the metal across the front here, and it's got all the little checker holes and stuff in it. So when you get ready to remove the vinyl dash part, across the top up here there are a bunch of screws, I think like regular screws or Phillips screws, and they went across all the way in front of the instrument panel. But once you get over here, there are two screws or studs that poke in to the dash here and here, and they have those speed nuts on them. So you have to get under the glove box, which the glove box does not come out. You can't get that thing out while the dash is still installed, and the heater box is in the way. But you can take the screws loose inside, release the dash compartment, drop it down, then you'll be able to see. You better get your hand up and feel the stud here and the stud over here, and or here and here. Get those two nuts off, and there's one like straight up with the stud poking down. You get the speed nut on that. So there are three studs over here with speed nuts, and then the rest of them are screws that screw into the clip where the dash clips it on. Anyhow, let's see what else. The dash assembly for these cars is a solid piece. It comes here and then rolls under. Well, what I did is I cut mine in half. I cut the top piece off, hoping I could just find the top one, because that's the one, that's it right there. That's the one that has the VIN number in it. Over here, you can't see it, but anyhow, that's basically the driver's side, and you can see those checkered holes or whatever I was talking about where they go across. And there's one hole right there that one of the studs went through for the speed nut, and there's the other hole right there. And then the rest of those holes that are there were the spot welds that I drilled out to get the top shell off. They don't make the top shell. I have to buy the whole assembly, which is the top shell, the dash panel over here for the door. Only problem is, the only thing I've seen are for cars with AC. Mine did not come with AC, so I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I did save my old piece, so if I have to cut it and, you know, cover it up, I can do that. I don't want to. I'd like to find one without AC. Anyhow, see what else. This right here, this is a bracket that the dash assembly was actually sitting in, and you can see they've got it spot welded here onto the pillar support, the hinge, and there's a hole right down in the bottom here. So I don't know if from the factory these things are supposed to be bolted in, but there was a really light spot weld right in that corner right there. I don't know if this is going to work if I zoom in. Focus, give it time. They never do. There it is. There's a real light spot weld right there, and if I had known that it was going to break easy that loose, or break loose that easy, I wouldn't have gone to all the trouble that I did over here with this one on the driver's side, because on the driver's side here I actually drilled out all the spot welds, and I drilled out all the spot welds to get this one out. There was 5, and then there was a tack right here, so I just cut this bracket. Figured if I needed to, I could just come back and do a butt joint right there with my welder. And then when I'm about halfway through with this thing, I get ready to pop it off over here with my chisel. When I get ready to pop it off with my chisel, boop, it pops off of the bottom rail of the dash here, and guess what? Another really weak spot weld. So if you're trying to take your dash out, check to see if there are any bolts on the side here. I think this goes for Chevelles too, if I'm not mistaken. Check to see if there are any bolts holding this lower dash bracket to this L bracket coming off of the frame. If there are, just take the bolt out, and then this will come loose. If not, beat on this thing a little bit. I mean, literally, by the time I got finished drilling these out, and then I hit this about a split second with my air chisel, poof, it popped right off. So had I known that, I would have tried to break this weld loose first. Anyhow, let me see, what have I got going here? I'm about 6 minutes into this. I'm gonna put up a 10-minute video, but stand by, I'm gonna get out and show you what I've got going on outside. All right, if it's windy, I'm sorry. Once again, I'm outside. I'll try to shield this camera with my hand. So, what I've learned after doing some stuff online and looking at some other, I haven't found anybody anywhere that has had the amount of rust that I've had, where the upper cowl panel completely separated, completely rusted right at the top here, away from the cowl panel itself. So what I'm having to do is come in and remove the upper cowl assembly, and I've checked online, and everywhere I've looked, it's all one part. You can't buy just the upper panel, so I'm having to come in and cut all this loose. And what I realized, you know, I knew I had trouble down here with my lower cowl vent assembly. So when I realized I was going to have to come in and take my whole thing off up here, I just started. I just made the decision to go ahead and replace both the cowl vents. So I'm going to replace the inner and the outer. The outers were gone. I was going to try to just patch these, but got to take that out. So anyhow, over here, this is all coming out. There's spot welds across here. Once I get this out of the way, I'll show you all the connecting points, so you'll know where to look for the spot welds. It's hard to tell, as much rust as this car has on it, and everything that's covered up, it's hard to tell where they hit it with the spot welds. I've tried brushing it down and everything to find the spots, and I just can't do it. The ones I can find, I'm drilling out. Like right here, these are fairly easy to find because the metal was still in good shape. I just brushed it off and was able to locate the spots. So next, I'll be going across the top of the firewall here and breaking these to get this assembly out. And same thing over here. This cowl panel vent will be coming off. All of this down here. Those are a bitch to get out. The floor vents, they come out in a single assembly, and you have to take all the screws out on the inside, from the inside. This is the driver's side here. I had to remove the dimmer switch. I had to remove my dimmer switch, and I had to disconnect my emergency brake lever to move all that crap out of the way to get this vent in and inside the car, because they're so big, or they're deep, and you have to be able to poke them in and get them out that way. So passenger side over there wasn't a big deal. I still had the heater box in it when I pulled that one out. That wasn't any big deal. There was plenty of room to wiggle it out, but you know, it was nice, and it was in there nice and deep too. So anyhow, I'm gonna pause. I'm right at what, I don't know, 10 minutes here, I guess, and I'll try to catch up to you when I'm wrapping up for the day. And before here's the stupid wind. Here's the dash panel. This is the upper half I was telling you about. There's my VIN. There's my VIN number right there. So it's actually in the dash. This is the rust where it completely rusted all the way across. Separated from the upper cowl support, and completely separated the upper cowl vent. And then I'll show you the lower half of the dash. It is right here. That's where the glove box went, and then these were the spots that I that I cut to get it out of there. And that's it. So check in with you later. See ya.